I just, first of all, you made it here. You made it through another summer. And I'm sure we're going to hear all about it. So welcome. This is probably our, I don't know, 5th or 6th time we've gathered like this since the new year, since 2018 started. This is our biggest one yet. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. And actually, believe it or not, we did have probably about 24 camps RSVP to this gathering tonight. So, which if we were all here, we would have half of our camps, which I think is a pretty amazing that we're gathering here at different points. So thank you so much for being here. As we said in our email, this gives us an opportunity to network, to understand how things are going across the country. I also want to note that Jordan Sullivan is here, and Jordan is from the General Counsel office, whose some of his work is in camping. So great to have him here as well. And of course, as well as a person who works in camping ministry across Maritime Conference right now is Lauren King. So welcome to Lauren as well. I think the best thing we could do is let's just go around one shot just to say who we are, where we're calling in from, just so that everybody kind of sees and hears, and just make sure everybody can hear us as we talk. So I'll just call it across what I see from my screen. Joe, do you want to start?
Hi, I'm Joe Richards from Pierce Williams Christian Center in Fingal, Ontario, near London. And I am happy to be on the call and happy that another summer is in the books. That's what I'm happy about.
Mm-hmm. I'm Matt Wynot, and I'm the Executive Director at Sherbrooke Lake Camp, which is in Nova Scotia. Corinne.
Oh, just wait. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, I'm representing Canyon Church Camp, and I'm not sure if you remember, but our camp actually was affected by a forest fire last year. So our half of our camp unfortunately burned in that fire. So we did not have camp this year. And we are in heavy negotiations with Parks Canada to rebuild our camp. And maybe I can ask a bit about that later on in the meeting, because I do have a few questions about that. So we did not operate this summer.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Thanks. Great to have you here. Tanya.
Hi there. My name is Tanya Stockless, and I am with West Haven Camp in Pasadena, Newfoundland. This is my 3rd summer. Just finished my 3rd summer with the camp. So I'm a relative newbie. So I'm very interested to hear everybody's stories and what makes their camps wonderful. Thanks for the invite.
Great. Yeah, no worries. Franklin.
Yeah, I'm Franklin James. I am from Mackenzie Camp here in Maple Lake. I am the chaplain, and I was fortunate to serve 2 summers so far. So thanks for inviting me here as well.
Great, thanks, Franklin. Doug.
Hi, I'm Doug Clark. I'm the chair of the board of directors for Camp Big Canoe in Bracebridge, Ontario.
Great. And Vicki.
Hi, everybody. I'm Vicki. I'm from Lumsden Beach Camp, just outside of Regina, Saskatchewan. And I have a 2.5-year-old desperately trying to get into my office. So sorry, I'm a bit distracted at this moment. Thanks for.
Dan and Sam.
I'm Dan. I'm Sam. We're co-executive directors, Kedisari Camp, United Church Camp on Lake Erie, just outside of Ridgetown, Ontario.
Great. Lorraine.
It's Lorraine Powell, and I am from McKinsey Camp at Enderby. and I'm the treasurer. And I worked at Canyon Church Camp quite a few years ago, and I'm sorry to hear that it burned down. I was thinking about you with the forest fires. And I've been with Mackenzie Camp a long time, off and on.
Okay, and Janet? I can't hear you, Janet. I don't think we can hear you. Try now. Joe, you're muted too.
Let's move on to Susan, and then we can go back to Janet.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm also from Mackenzie Camp, along with Franklin and Lorraine, and we had a sort of smoky summer, but other than that, it was good. So it's on Maple Lake. Yeah, there's a long lake in the middle of BC.
Excellent.
You, Steve.
Hi there, I'm Steve Salt. I'm the director at Camp Big Canoe. I just finished my first summer there. I worked there growing up, so it's a bit of a homecoming, and it was an awesome summer, and I'm happy to meet all of you.
Great. Jim.
Hi. My name is Jim Bellabo. I'm the chair of the official board of United Church Camp Whitney here in east central Alberta. The camp is about 15 miles east of Elk Point, and we just completed a very challenging, sometimes rewarding, but very demanding.
Fair enough, for sure. We just had Robin join us. Robin, which camp are you calling in from? Yep, we can hear you.
You can hear me? I'm calling in from Camp Coolery in British Columbia.
Great. How do you spell Coolery?
Koollaree.
Coolery.
You tried, Joe.
I was close. Come on.
He changed your name at the bottom of your thing to do your change. And then Ryan, where are you calling from?
Bar Harbor Camp, Stellar, Alberta.
Oh.
Which camp, sorry?
Bar Harbor Camp.
Bahaba.
Okay.
Bahaba.
And of course, Jordan.
Hello. Yes, here in Toronto, I work at the General Council office. Work with a few other staff that work to support camps. Camping connections, which we haven't had in a while.
Great. And Lauren King.
Hey folks, Lauren King. I'm in New Brunswick, and I work at the Maritime Conference Office, so get to work with the 5 maritime camps, including Sherbrooke Lake and the wonderful Matt Wynot.
I'll pay you later. Yeah, so this is fantastic. I'm so excited that you're all here. So basically the agenda that we have proposed is something that you would, maybe the questioning, the thing that we sent out may not be necessarily the best wording, but kind of retweaked it a little bit, saying one thing that you would make or do better for next summer, something that you may have learned that you can kind of take away. And thinking that there might be some opportunities there, that if there were some common themes between the camps, that we could bring somebody on to potentially talk with us to how we could give a learning opportunity, or for us to gather maybe next time or one of our meetings to come. And then we want to talk about an opportunity for 2019 around 2019 would be typically our triannual gathering that we would do for camps within the United Church. And then kind of to talk a little bit about what you might want to see from the Outdoor Ministries Institute and that sort of thing. And then maybe just have at the very end, if folks want to stick around, we can have a little bit of a discussion, kind of open mic, and give folks an opportunity to talk. Before Joe starts, I do want to say that just to give everybody a context of where this all came about, some of us within the camping ministry world said, we need to start lifting each other up, and we need to start learning and communicating more often, more frequently with each other. And what better way to do that using technology and giving us an opportunity to gather. So Joe and I kind of came up with this crazy idea that we should create the Outdoor Ministries Institute, and we applied to the United Church Foundation through EDGE, the EDGE Network, and we received some funding to help support this ministry that we're doing right now. So just to kind of give everybody a sense of how this sort of all came about. So there you go. Joe.
Excellent. So just to clarify, because I was dealing with some technical issues, Matt, we are talking about the one main thing that we would change for next summer. Is that still correct?
One thing you would make better or do better next summer, exactly. So do you want to lead this portion, Joe?
Yeah. And so what we're looking for is just opportunities to share. So we want to see your successes as well as answer any questions. And if camp didn't run like it didn't for Canyon Church, you can ask questions as we move forward. I think that this is best if we just go around and share where we can. So does somebody want to start with what their biggest one thing you would change for next summer, something that happened at camp that you might want to do better next year?
I can go if that's okay.
That's great, Tanya.
Okay. The reason why I'm here is because I randomly messaged Matt a few weeks ago because I was having some issues and I was trying to find somebody who could answer some questions for me. So he invited me to participate in this, which was wonderful because I'm new to camping only 3 years. I don't have a lot of experience to draw on. So I was looking for someone outside of our little circle of board members to throw some ideas back and forth. So my issue this summer, which brought me to Matt, was we have adult volunteers who are directors at our camps. So we had 6 camps this summer. And out of those 6 camps, we had 4 different directors throughout the summer. And each director has a different style of directing. So each camp, the staff has to get used to a different director and their style and how much they want to participate. They want the staff to participate, how much they want them to organize and things like that. So I thought it was very stressful for the staff. And I thought there has to be a better way. There has to be a better way for consistency and so that staff is not so stressed out because of these different styles and these different people. And I was wondering, does this happen at other camps? Is it just our camp that has adult volunteers direct, or is there a better way?
Robin's putting her hand up.
Go ahead, Robin. What do you got to say?
I'm trying to unmute here. Sorry. There we go. Well, we have 6 different adult directors volunteer. I'm one of them. And we only have 5 paid staff, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
we have 7 plus 2 books.
Okay. So yeah, so we do things. Each director has their own style. Yeah, and it was helpful that we had one of the camp directors actually for the last 2 summers. He's been able to kind of wrangle things so that he's the first aid attendant for my camp. And so there's a little more consistency.
Mm-hmm.
But also just being clear and encouraging the directors to be clear, and the staff knows that something's gonna change. And
Yes.
the cooks, they have a menu and they consult all the directors ahead of time. This is the menu. And if there's anything you need different for your particular camp, please let me know now so I can change it. So like, I want to do a weenie roast on Thursday. Fine. So we'll change that from mac and cheese to a weenie roast. And things that can get people's panties in a bunch if you don't talk about it ahead of time. And then there were things that were, like I direct an all girls camp. And so saying to the maintenance staff, I really don't want you taking pictures of my campers ever. Sorry, I don't. And you might be able to get away with that at the co-ed teen camp where the kids are older, but with my little girls, just don't take any pictures. Thanks. And stuff like that, being clear.
So a question for both Robin and Tanya. Do you guys recruit the campers, or do other parties recruit those campers for the different weeks that the directors are in?
I have multiple roles. I am the program chair. I also directed 2 camps and volunteered at 1 this summer. And I do media and public relations as well. So I help with the public relations, and so I do recruit. Yeah. Campers, volunteers, directors, all of the above.
Yeah. And that's our board does the recruiting campers, and the directors do the recruiting of the leader, the volunteer leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think a majority of camps, as I look around the board and see who's here, there's a bunch of camps who have a consistent paid director and a paid staff, as opposed to volunteer directors. And that seems very much like stories out of the 60s and 70s for Pierce Williams. And I still talk to the people who had volunteer directors and they did 1 week. But yeah, consistency is a huge problem in that setting. I can't imagine trying to finagle that. I will say, if you have challenges like that, I know that there's a lot of 4-H camps in Ohio specifically where they run different counties come in and run 1 week of camp at 4-H campsites, but there's a consistent staff of 5 people or 6 people. So they're seeing different 4-H educators every week who have a different style, and it might be a great conversation to have with a totally different place, and see how they handle it.
Yeah, I'll also say, like, Sherbrooke Lake, same thing, kind of early 90s, early 2000s, we were the same way. It was run by 4 different directors. As a staff member, myself, it was like, I always knew that we were going to have a lot of fun when Roseanne was director. And then when Denise was here, man, we got to make sure we got our ducks in order, right? Like, that was the type of dynamic as a staff member we always thought about. And it was hard, right? It was very, very difficult. So I'd be very much interested in maybe not having that that type of conversation here, but Tanya and Robin, like if you want to, like, we could do a Zoom call and we could talk about this like at a different time with a smaller
Wonderful.
group of us maybe.
Yeah.
And hash that out. And also I know camp it's Dave's camp, Shagaback. They do the same thing, right, Joe?
I'm not sure that they
Dave
rotate directors, but yeah.
But say, they rotate staff though, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So is there somebody else who has something that they would change or some challenge they had this summer?
Sure.
Okay.
This is Jim from Whitney. We had a particularly challenging year. We have a dedicated registrar and a communications marketing body to go out and recruit the kids. We also had a couple people who were set up to hire staff, and we had a dedicated maintenance person from May all the way to the last week of camp. We had one cook, we had one director for the entire season, and we had a very small bunch of staff who were there every single week of camp, and we only had 5 weeks of camp. We came off of a bad year. We didn't have camp last year because we couldn't recruit enough staff, and we had to put the kibosh on it. And this year we started off good, but we ended up not having a lot of kids. It was great. The energy was there, but it was a very, very difficult year. We had a lot of staff problems, and in some cases, kind of like the perfect storm, one thing after another. We also had in the past year, we've had 3 break-ins where doors have been smashed in and whatnot, and the police are trying to do their best. My board has been decimated over the past year or so, and there's very few people involved with it. I think getting back to that original question about what we could change, the one thing I would definitely change is I would say we need to look into partnerships or go in with a solid pledge of commitment from all the churches within our region. You need this many people to commit, or we're not going to do it. We can't do it the way we've been doing it. We're depleted, and it's been I don't know what the future is going to hold for us. So. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Sorry, Lorraine, did you have something?
Sure. I was just going to say change in the comment. I think Mackenzie Camp struggled with that some years ago. And we now have churches that support us all up and down the Okanagan. Fundraising, staffing, and supporting camperships, and it's made a huge difference. I mean, we've had our challenges for sure this summer, but it just gives the directors, the board of directors, support to know that the churches are behind them. And Franklin has been wonderful. We pay our director, we pay our staff, and it's quite a problem because I'm the treasurer and I worry about the finances, but it's made a big difference. And also then we get children coming from even Calgary and Edmonton to the Okanagan because they come here for holidays, and just having that kind of support in recruiting and so on. Thanks.
Yeah, it's got to be a struggle, Jim. Are you surrounded, like the break-ins and the decimation of your board, is that more so to do with the fact that camp didn't run last year, or is there another reason?
Well, we've seen a marked increase in rural crime in our region. A lot of that has to do with economics. Our camp is somewhat remote. The nearest church that we have that could offer some support is actually 45 minutes away. I'm down there all the time, and it's an hour drive to get there. And the site itself is next to a provincial park. It's 12 miles from a very small town by the name of Elk Point. So a lot of the crimes are mostly of opportunity. There hasn't been a lot stolen. The biggest item that they stole from us was a quad, which was actually found a couple of days ago by the RCMP, because we were broken into last Friday, and the place was only vacant for 3 days, and they managed to hit us in between. It's kind of demoralizing for us. It creates a sense of bad security for us, and a sense of unease while we're there. So it's not good, especially now that we're in the shutdown period. So.
Okay. Anybody else have something that they would change for next summer, or challenges they had? Steve Salt, how'd your first summer go?
It was fantastic. The one thing that I'll change going forward is just putting my own stamp on things. I did a lot of things being the first summer. I did a lot of things status quo, and Bill Stevens, who was here before me, had things rolling, and it's a well-oiled machine at this point. So a lot of the things I just kept going the way they've been going. So I'm looking forward to next summer. Like I said, just focusing on some of the things that are my strengths, and going forward with those. The one thing that that I'd heard about and didn't quite catch me off guard, but I definitely want to do some more training for myself and for my staff, were mental health issues that the campers and some of the staff were facing. So that's definitely going to be a focus, especially in staff training and finding resources to help with that.
Okay, thank you.
Steve, I'm glad you mentioned that, because it was like it was a lot of mental health concerns, in particular with our staff this summer, and trying to deal with it. We did some training around it going into the summer. I didn't expect as much as I was here last summer. I've been here in some capacity for 20 years, but I've never seen anything like it. So we have to really figure this thing out, and recognizing that it's a thing that's in our society, and we've got to treat it well. Just out of curiosity, were there any other camps that dealt with that this summer? Just put your hand up, maybe. Okay.
We had a lot of issues, yeah.
Pardon me, sorry?
Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, we had a lot. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we had a lot of issues like that. We had some personality conflicts, as well as personal tragedies, which were beyond our control, physiologically and mentally. The last week we had a horrific family tragedy with our cook, and her program director had an appendicitis on the second day of the last week of camp. It was very hard to deal with, and we also had a lot of kids who were special needs, developmentally delayed, and a lot of them from foster homes and even from shelters and whatnot. But they actually got a lot out of the camp, and I think so did the campers as well. We seemed to be at our best when we were dealing with people with that have a lot of issues, but so when things are going good, it seems we seem to work better under I would say under critical situations than we do under normal states, so to speak.
Interesting. Anybody else have something to share? Something you would change, a challenge you had? I'll share briefly as you think through, Lorraine, and then I'll go to you. I had a fire inspection in May that led to the need to fundraise almost $200,000 this summer. And we didn't quite make it to 200 yet, but a check for 3,000 rolled in today from an Optimist Club, and that was a huge challenge. It weighs on your mind, and we're lucky enough here at Pierce Williams. I'm certainly blessed to have a camp director who can run camp while I take care of some of that business that is not, but the fire stuff is nobody's fault but our own, apparently, because we're supposed to know the fire code inside out and backwards. And now I do. Now I know it inside out and backwards. And I'm trying to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars right now to get everything fixed. So it didn't affect camp in any way. We just had to have a fire watch person on every night we used the buildings that weren't deemed safe enough to not have a fire watch. So it was a $5,000 payroll increase for that section, but that'll come out of the fundraising for fire safety as well. So all in all, dealt with some mental health issues, but my mental health seems to be fine even after the fire stuff. So Lorraine, what do you have for us?
Okay, we had faith formation, and Franklin did that for us. It was awesome, but we didn't have it early enough. Not all of our staff could attend. Certainly another year we would have it earlier and make it mandatory unless people really had a reason not to attend. The other thing is that we had staff training, and I don't think it was long enough. And we didn't have a social worker there this year. And
how long was your staff training?
Well, we had 3 days with our core staff, and then we had a week with our CIT, LIT, and core staff. But there wasn't enough to cover all the programs. And we did have a lot of challenges because we support a lot of children that come from special needs families, about 84 kids. So they come with lots of issues that our staff aren't well prepared to deal with, and so we need to work on that this year.
Yeah, I don't think anybody thinks staff training is long enough. Yeah, go ahead, Corinne.
Do you pay your staff for the staff training time?
Ooh. I don't.
Yeah.
Does anyone?
Yeah, I think everybody's, yeah. I think legally you're supposed to. I think you're dictated that you can't have non-paid staff training, and at least in Ontario, looking up the labor code stuff.
Okay.
And we pay our staff a chunk for the whole summer, and it's technically that they're paid for that time as well.
Mm-hmm. Brother Dan, anything you want to contribute?
Yeah, so our largest challenge this summer was kind of a shitty situation, excuse the language, but our septic system quit working completely. And we had to pump out our 3,000-gallon tank multiple times a week. Starting the week before staff training, we kind of solved the problem Thursday night of a wedding. They were just coming in, and the wedding was the Saturday. And so Samantha, who's there all day, every day in the summer, got very friendly with the septic man. I'm a little concerned because on his last trip, he hugged her twice.
He smells a lot better than any septic man should.
Sweet.
Yeah, no, not so sweet. I'm a little concerned, but no, they were one Sunday even. It rained a lot that weekend, and so that was affecting things. And we walked out over towards the washrooms, and just horrible smell. This is 2 o'clock on Sunday, and the septic man was there 25 minutes later and gave that one to us for free. But we were fairly regular, steady customers. So we're in the process of designing a septic system and working our way through that with our building inspector and our septic contractor. And then we got to get one in hopefully before it freezes this year.
Did they have a gift card, buy 10, get one free?
They didn't have and it was, for us, if it rained, it almost doubled the price of septic because they couldn't spread on their fields and they had to pay for disposal with the municipality. So we were glad when they could spread our stuff on their fields. That was our biggest challenge for the summer because we had a fantastic summer with everything else. So.
Just to touch a little bit on the mental health thing, it wasn't an issue, there wasn't anything that we struggled with this summer, but as a teacher, I've been teaching for 20 some years, and in my years of teaching, it is just something that is, I just, maybe it's the pendulum swinging, that we're getting to a spot where it's just, it's almost like an epidemic now. We have to really rethink how we are training maybe parents, upcoming parents, and parenting skills and that sort of thing. Even going back to school right now, we're in week 3, and it's all over the place. It's in kindergarten, it's everywhere. So I do think that we're going to have to really focus on this at our staff trainings, and maybe, you know, rely on each other to share things, because it's really going to be a thing we have to talk about.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you. Anybody else have things they want to share? Go ahead, Vicki.
Yeah, so there's sort of 3 quick things I was going to mention that were challenges. We actually had a very good summer as well, but one of our challenges is the perennial problem of finding a cook. So we actually had that role shared by, I think, 6 or 7 different people throughout the summer, and it was a bit of a nightmare around ordering food and consistency and quality. And I think you all know that food is just so important. Kids don't come back if they feel hungry or they don't like it. So that was a bummer. If you guys have extra cooks, please send them to Saskatchewan. We'll pay them well. The second issue that we had this summer was around our relationship with, there's a resort village that we are next to. And so the resort camp, our camp is quite old. And the village used to actually be the camp, and then at one point it was like ministers and stuff just started building cabins, and so the camp pushed itself down the lake a bit and put up a gate, and so we have had this off and on relationship. But they started people that have cottages there started harassing our parents because they have to drive through the village to get to our camp. And anyways, it's probably a pretty unique problem, but it remains a challenge. We continue to keep trying to talk and work this out. And then the final thing is we had an incident, a minor incident around sort of a sexual misconduct with a volunteer. And I've done this for a few years, and I'm pretty good at dealing with it. But the oddest thing happened in that, and I don't know if all conferences are organized the same, but in Saskatchewan, we're to go and talk to a consultant in the conference, and I just got the most bizarre advice. And so I actually reached out to a consultant in Manitoba and got some very good advice, and we dealt with the incident. But it highlighted for me some inconsistencies around training for sexual assault consultants, and also the training that often those people come and offer our staff. This year we actually did it in-house because we just have gotten to the point where we just feel like in a camp setting, we can do that training a bit better than people that are unfamiliar with camps. It raised a lot of concerns for me about how things are dealt with had we not had sort of experienced team kind of working on that issue, it could have gone badly. So those are 3 interesting different challenges we went through this summer, but otherwise we had a really, really good summer.
Excellent. That is great. Anybody else have something to share? Go ahead, Franklin.
All right, yeah, I have a few observations I made throughout this summer, and I do agree with Lorraine. We do need staff training, but I don't think we need more time. We need more effective training. The time we had was sufficient, but the personnel in place are not equipped to do the training in the manner that would make it effective. So we can do that much better in the future. Another issue that came up at camp is senior staff knowing boundary issues, training in boundaries. I was fortunate to be in the ordained ministry stream, and as you know, the United Church required us to do boundary training. So that would be very crucial for many of our staff that we employed, and this goes right into the sexual misconduct case. So once they know the boundary issues and are made aware of the laws surrounding that, then that will give them the information needed. And the director and I this year, we taught our camp staff about the sexual misconduct policy coming out of the BC Children's Service. And we go through that manual with them page by page, blow by blow, physical harassment, sexual harassment. We go through it, and then I bring in the boundary training to help them there. Another issue we have is with staff selection and assessment and suitability. Camp need staff that are aware of issues and able to deal with it. And then the staff need to be mature enough to deal with the mental issues that we spoke of coming about and stuff like that. So we need more organization of the staff. And one of the things for Mackenzie Camp have a good board. And also I was privileged to be a chaplain right through the summer. And I come with a certain amount of training from education to counseling to theology. So that helps to buffer many of the problem and guide the staff as they go through the summer. So I think having someone like that at each camp will help in terms of mitigating many of the issues in the future. So those are my observations so far.
Great observations. Thank you, Franklin. Thank you, Franklin. Matt, we only have about 15 to 14 minutes left. I wasn't sure if we want to, I've written down some of these challenges. I'm sure that others have as well. And as we go through the rest of the year, we have other meetings. We want to do this once a month and continue this. I think that we can set up an online poll to figure out what topics we want to cover as we move forward. I know that most of you have had a chance to speak. Ryan, we haven't heard from you, but do you have any challenges or anything you want to share about your summer?
No big challenges and stuff, staff-wise or program-wise. Just obviously, always finances are an issue. We're also in the middle of a building capital project. It's been going on for 3 or 4 years, too many years, but some key volunteers moved on, and we ran out of some funds there. So no, I'm good with just hearing the stories from everybody else, and I was interested in hearing a little bit about the thing for possibly 2019. We actually have a board meeting for our camp here in about 15 minutes as well. So
that's great.
Turn it over to you.
Okay. So moving along, we will take some of those topics that we've heard people talk about, and we'll send a poll out over the email newsletter so that you can let us know what you want these meetings to be about the rest of as we start a new year moving towards 2019. Speaking of 2019, Matt, why not? And Jordan.
Yeah. So just to give everybody a little bit of background, as I said earlier, so the last time we gathered in person as camps was during Camp Connections at Pierce Williams, the place that Joe runs, in 2016. Typically what happens every third year, camps are gather. So anywhere from could be 30 to 50 people gather at one of the camp locations across the country. The last year or so, Joe and myself have been working with the Presbyterian Camp and Conference Association, PCCC. I missed a C, I think, but PCCCA. And they have an annual conference, like many of the in the States, or I should say. Many of these of the ministries, so whether you're United Church of Christ, the Methodists, the Lutherans, the Presbyterians, have annual conferences where they gather their camps across at various points in every year. And so in the States, they have actually come together on an umbrella organization called OMC. And the OMC, which is the Outdoor Ministries Connection, have agreed to have what they're dubbing the Great Gathering, which is all of those faiths that I just mentioned from the States. The Presbyterians in the States and Canada are part of the same organization. They are gathering in 2019 in North Carolina in November of 2019. And so Joe and I basically said to Jordan and the folks at the United Church of Canada and the General Council office that there's no other opportunity like this that could happen, where we're talking anywhere from 800 to 1,000 camp people from across North America to gather together and learn from each other. And we just felt that the best course of action for us, the United Church of Canada, is to tag on to the Great Gathering in 2019. So, Jordan, I don't know if you want to give some details around what that might look like as far as the email that you sent out to Joe and I earlier this week.
Yeah, sure. We actually lost that information. Just try to pull that up.
I have it here in front of me, Jordan.
Okay, maybe. Yeah. What I'll say is that what we normally commit, what the General Council Office normally commits to a connections event, we are actually going above and beyond that this time around. So we've committed, I will say, I won't give the exact amount, but we're committing over $20,000 to provide $500 for every camp person who wants to attend this event. There is a limit, however, so obviously once we start promoting it, it's going to be first come, first served, and it will open in 2019, so it'll be in the 2019 budget. So we won't have those funds available until the new year. So there will be $500 to support individuals wanting to go. All you have to do, we'll just probably have a simple online form that you finished, complete online, to say you want that $500, and the check would be mailed to the individual camps. We also will have available funds from the Vision Fund Continuing Education Bursary. So staff or volunteers can submit an application to Vision Fund for your travel expenses. And they allow for $500 per individual, up to a maximum of $1,000 per ministry in a year. So the camp is, like, one camp would be ministry, so your maximum allowable from Vision Fund would be $1,000. So that's good news. I'm quite thrilled that people were able to find that in their budgets to say we can commit that for next year.
So to clarify, Jordan, is the UCC making $500 available to any camp staff or to one camp staff per camp?
We're not saying one camp staff per camp.
Okay.
$500 to anybody who wants to go.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, a typical connections, we never get 100% of camps out. So I would be surprised if we had every camp wanting to go to the States, but you never know.
So to give you a few more details, I've sat in on the Outdoor Connections meetings for the past 2 years, one in Post Falls, Idaho, home of Buck Knives, and one in Indianapolis. And Outdoor Ministries Connection are calling this conference the Relation Shift. The idea that as outdoor ministries, we need to shift our relationship with the church and be more in touch with each other. We as the United Church of Canada have 50 some odd camps across the country, and to come together with the Presbyterian Church Camp and Conference Association in the States, which has 135 in the States plus 13 additional in Canada, the United Church of Christ, which has 35 different ministries in the States, the United Methodists, which have close to 150 different. And so it's the idea that we get together. And so what Jordan and Bev and Amy in the national office have agreed to and asked other people is this idea that we can fund essentially $500 to anybody who's interested in going, and then your camp can get up to $1,000 towards travel for however many people, but $1,000 max through that Vision Fund. To put this, we'll give you some details. It will be in November of 2019. My internet sucks right now, so I can't give you any more than that. It's at Lake Junaluska, which is near Asheville, North Carolina. And it is about a 12-hour drive from southwestern Ontario, that I know for sure. It is going to be the 10th to the 14th of November. Thank you, Brother Dan. And it is, and Steve, everybody can look it up. Good work. And so this is great news. And so normally the funds that you would use to get to your camp would use to send people to a triannual conference somewhere in Canada. We're promoting the idea that we have this once in a lifetime chance to get together with these other outdoor ministries and hear speakers that we would never be able to get to come to one of our Camping Connection events. There is a website. The name of the camp is Lake Junaluska. It's a conference and retreat center. There is a website for the conference, I believe. Are there questions? Let's take some questions. It's 8:26. What questions do we have?
So,
yes.
Can I just say we will be sending an email to all camps with all that information, so they'll get that. We'll probably send it out within the next month so everybody can plan for their budgets for next year. So you'll get the link to the online information and the information about budgets. Within the next 2 or 3
We'll
weeks.
also say that there is an opportunity to, throughout those 3 or 4 days, for us to gather as Canadian United Church camps, so that we can come together and do some of the work that we feel that we can do. So I also think that that's a benefit to learn from each other, and of course during meals and everything else we can discuss.
Yeah. It's a great opportunity. I have been to that area of North Carolina, and there are over 80 camps within an 80-mile radius. It is ridiculous. Me and my camp director 2 years ago visited 9 camps in 4 days, and we didn't stretch our driving at all. We drove by camps we couldn't visit. And so it's a beautiful area of the country. The airport you would fly into would be Asheville, North Carolina, or Greenville, Spartanburg, South Carolina. And they'll be offering shuttles. In the States, they do the conferences not based like we do, which is one price gets you food, accommodation, and program. In the States, they tend to break that down. So you'll have one for food, another, and then you add your accommodation choice, and then you add the program on top of that, and then there's a shuttle cost if you're coming from an airport. They have it all broken down when you take a look at it, and that'll be in the email that Jordan and the United Church National Office team will send out. And Dan,
one of the things that I want to give a story.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just give a quick story just for a second, Joe? So I was one of these people in 2016, or after 2016, who said, like, why do I need to go to the States? I got everything here. I know everything as a camp person. Good. It's all good. And then Joe said to me one day, or, he sent me an email. He said, you should really think about going to the PCCCA conference last year in the fall in Texas. And I was like whatever. Like, what am I going to learn from a big mega camp, right? What are they going to teach me, right? So, anyways, we ended up applying for a grant and got the funding, and I went. So, the thing that I felt really inspired by the camps that were my size at this gathering. this meeting, this annual meeting that the PCCCA puts on. It was by far one of the best conferences I've ever been to. And I brought back so many tools for my toolbox that was able to change the way our camp functions. And in all of the things that we've done this year at Sherbrooke Lake, numbers are up. Complaints from parents are way down. Our streamlining of things, the way that, and I learned all of these things at this conference. And so the other thing I will say is the really important thing about sharing in ministry this stuff. When we gathered in at Pierce Williams in 2016, I wouldn't be sitting where I am today without having to go and meet with all of you folks, because I was inspired by those people who are working in camp all year round. And our board, all of our 5 board members that were there came back to our board and said, we need to do this. We did it. And over 2 years, our numbers are up 35% registration and money coming in up the wazoo. So it's really, really positive. I'm just telling you, some folks may be going like, why would we do this? It's totally worth the money so that we can make our camps better and hold each other up.
Yeah. We don't only grow by staying within ourselves or by staying at our own camp. And so I know that money can be tight, but the United Church nationally offering this money to us is great. Let's try and take advantage of it. And for somewhere like, like Tanya in Newfoundland, right? Like in the challenges you have, and for Corinne, if Canyon Church is still struggling with running camp, this is a place where you will meet different camps of all sizes. So you don't always have to set your expectation by looking at the biggest site, because Lake Junaluska is a massive, I haven't been, but I've seen video of it and it's ridiculous. So, so it's totally worth it. We are going to, in the next call, because it's time to end this call, we're going to, in the next call, discuss the idea of a partnership with which the PCCCA has offered or may be offering United Church of Canada camps. And so we'll give a bit more of that in our email. I don't think there's anything more to say about that right now, is there, Matt? No. So I think, any other comments, closing comments? Go ahead. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Okay. At the meeting in 2016 that I was fortunate to attend, as well as the last conference meeting I attended up here in Alberta, tried to solicit some kind of connections within what will be my new region. And I know that there's a lot of anxiety about the kind of support we've got. There's also talk about that a lot of the new regions may decide to weed out some of the less profitable or successful camps and actually amalgamate a lot of them if they possibly can. And while that is, to me, it's a natural thing. If things are getting small, then that's just it. However, my big concern right now is that this conference sounds absolutely fantastic. I would like to see from the national office a little bit more heat and light on how we can start building those bridges with our new regional councils to try and set up our own means of support in our region, because Canada is just a ridiculously large place. We have the tyranny of geography to deal with. And I think we do need to concentrate and look at that we can with our. I know in my presidency, I have little support now. Very quick, months from now. So that's it.
Yeah. We'll add regional discussions to the list as we move forward. Corinne, you wanted to share something?
I just wanted to ask, we're getting ramped up with our negotiations with Parks Canada, and can I say that our camp is part of this larger organization, just to have the support of 48 member camps across Canada in our efforts to try and rebuild our camp. Is that something that can we include that in our documents?
Yeah, I'm fairly certain you're allowed to say that. If you're in the past, was Canyon Church Camp a United Church of Canada facility?
It still is.
Yeah, and so you're part of this organization of how many camps across Canada, Matt? 50.
48? 50? Okay.
54.
54.
Okay. We are
Parks Canada.
Parks.
The largest faith-based
Beaver.
the largest faith-based camping network in Canada is the United Church.
Yeah.
Camps.
It's the largest single camping organization for residential camps in Canada, Corinne. That's an important statement.
Okay, can you say that again?
Yeah, the largest single residential camping network across Canada for number of camps.
So not just faith-based, right?
Not just faith-based. No, there's no. Yeah, the YMCA might have more campers than we do, but they don't have more camps than we do.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, that will just, strength shows that we're part of a bigger network, so that could help us. So thank you.
Okay.
Go
ahead,
you want to say something?
Franklin.
Yeah, I have a quick observation. Normally we have children who are attracted to same gender at our camps. It has never been a problem until one camper who identified as the opposite gender wanted to be in a cabin with that gender. Could we deal with that and how to deal with that in another session?
Yeah.
Yes. Great. Anybody else want to add anything to the list? Jordan, go ahead.
Not to add to the list. I just wanted to affirm what I heard tonight about the mental health crisis that camps are experiencing. Amy Crawford came back from a youth forum at General Council this year saying the exact same thing. In May, the campus chaplains from universities across Canada, United, Anglican, Lutheran, Presbyterian met and talked about the crisis, and they used the word crisis, mental health crisis, on campuses. So this is an issue that is being experienced everywhere. And United Church Camps, as a faith-based camp, we really have something unique to offer. And it's something that campus chaplains were talking about. Spirituality is a huge component of mental health. That's all I'll say for now.
Okay. Vicki, you had something to add?
Oh, I was just going to add, this summer we built a bit of a curriculum around talking about right relationship and Indigenous issues. And I don't know how different camps do faith formation, but we built ours around this topic, around treaty rights and stuff. And we found it really hard to find other resources. And I imagine there are some good things out there that people are doing. And I would love to hear from other camps. And then also, we're very into sharing what we created, and if other people want to pick that topic up. So, yeah, I've got that around faith formation and curriculum.
I think if people want to connect outside of this, Vicki, because that's a great point. We do have a Facebook page. Is that correct, Matt? I see you're nodding your head.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah,
and so we can connect there because I know that there's camps who are doing that better than some. And that was a big discussion in the spring, was the idea of our relationships with our with the Aboriginal recognition and programs going forward. So.
And so there's stuff on in the Facebook page?
So I will say, I made a note. So I'm just wondering, Tanya and Robin, could we connect maybe outside of this? I'd love to talk about some of the issues that you brought up about.
I would love to.
About the directors, and also something else. somebody else. And like Corinne, if you want to call or chat or whatever,
okay,
let's chat. But we're here to help one another. If you need help, reach out, and we're here to help. We are all better together. And so
if you go to the website wearecamp.ca, you will get to the Outdoor Ministries Institute website, and that you can connect to both Matt and myself, and we'll also put a list up of the camps that have been on the call with their websites over the next month or so that you can try and touch base with other people. But I just wanted to say, you know, from an idea, this is great and amazing to have this many people. I feel very much like the Brady Bunch. And so I love that I'm poking my brother in the head right now, and he doesn't know that. But I just love the fact that we get together and chat, and this is great, because if you do have issues, these are the people you can reach out to. And if we encourage other camps, other United Church of Canada camps to join us, that would be great. The United Church of Christ in the States, which is our church that we are in communion with, did I say that correctly? Okay, great. They actually want to join in on these calls because they believe the same thing, that they're just not connected, right? You can be at Camp Whitney, Jim, and not be connected to another camp or another church anywhere close by. And so they want to join in on these calls and sort of just get some discussion and things going as well. So what we've started here is just the tip of the iceberg as we move forward. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for coming. If you have any other comments or things, you can always email myself to get them up on the website. And my email is joe, J-O-E, @campisbetter.com. Matt's email is
Matt, M-A-T,
Matt's
at sherbrookelakecamp.org.
That's awesome. Great. That is it for the evening, friends. We will see you again in a month. So there'll be an email that goes out, and feel free to respond to that, and we'll get any questions answered. And we'll send a survey out to as we go forward, topics that everybody wants to hear. Awesome. Goodbye.
All right.
And good night.
Good night.